Isaiah chapter 43 verse 1 and 2. See what the Bible says. It said, but now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by name, thou art mine. Take note, he said, I have redeemed thee. In fact, I know you by name. But in verse 2 he said what? When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall flame kindle upon thee. You will go through the challenges and the battles of life, but there is an assurance that it will not consume you. Only those who are prepared for it, they are they that stand the test of the time. They are they that are ultimately crowned. Yes, I'm a believer. You hear people say, why is all these things happening to me? And out of self-pity, many landed in compromise. Many landed in all kinds of compromise that made them lose track of who they are and the journey that they were placed upon. Because they told you that if you say yes to Jesus, it's a rosy thing. It's not rosy. He said, if any man will come after me. This utterance was made to his disciples. He said, let him deny himself, take up his cross. It's ultimately to bring you into a realm of power, into a realm of power. Without brokenness, it will be difficult for you to attain the rank that God has destined for you. It is almost practically impossible to attain anything in God if you don't have a broken heart. When you pray, it's to bring you to that point. When you fast, it's to bring you to that point. When you give, it's to bring you to that point where you see yourself as nothing before God, as nothing without God, as helpless without God. You know, I read the story of Jacob and it excited me so much. You know, Jacob was known as a supplanter. He was a man full of self. When he had encounter with God in Genesis 28, he bargained with God, told God what he wanted, and God honored it. He went to Haran, labored for how many years, and came back with goodies. He was still a man of self until he encountered an angel. When that angel was done dealing with him, the Bible said he touched the hollow of his thigh. That is a sign that the man was broken. And the later part of the life of Jacob, you will discover that he has actually become a broken man. If not, Jacob know how to negotiate. You know, cattle were not allowed in Egypt. That business was not allowed. But Jacob would have known what to do with the power of his son Joseph in the hymn of affair to negotiate how to establish his business in Egypt. He would have negotiated his way to stay in the most palatial mansion in Egypt. He would have known what to do, but a time came. Because of that encounter he had, he has become a broken man. He has seen the futility of life, and he knows that life without God is nothing. The angel told him, as a prince, thou have power with God and with man and have prevailed. And we saw that as a prince with words, he changed the destinies of his children. He aligned them with, by the power of prophecy, he ordered their feet the path that he should go. Why? He became a broken man, and because he was broken, he accessed power by uttering words. He made thirdborn to become firstborn. He never took advantage of the access he had with Pharaoh to negotiate a better life for himself anymore. It was more about the desires of God and the things that he wanted. Elahe Amosale Omeane Ofe Omenato na Salem Salea Sese Otoni Amaye Fayolole Azitaole Sayoni Omea Sofo Omea Fela ile Musasi Yahone Aileo Esaye Atona Go Ilahe Ilahe Ilaho Masaile Aya Asaye Fodo Frale Modi. If you don't have understanding, there are certain things you will go through in life that you will think that you are disadvantaged. There are certain experiences that you will be exposed to, or you will be allowed to go through, and you will think that God has forgotten about you. But all of that is actually the intelligence of the immortals to bring the true you out of you, to show you how difficult it is for men to part way with flesh. When God routed the children of Israel through the pathway of the wilderness, only two persons made it out of the wilderness: Caleb and Joshua. The wilderness experience is not to bury you, it's not to kill you, it's not to frustrate you. It's to take care of all the fleshly tendencies that are locked up in your members. The reason is because there is a crown that is meant for your head. Meant for your head. That crown cannot rest if you are full of flesh. There is a scepter of power that you are to wield. That scepter will not be given to you if you are full of flesh. That is why God will insist that you go through certain things. No matter how you try hard, you are smart, you are intelligent, you know the strategies, to the permutations and the combinations to do in order to wiggle your way out. But no, if after you've put all those permutations together, you will discover that some things doesn't add. What is happening to you is not that you are unfortunate. You are in the school in the spirit. You are in a school in the spirit. And that school is called the wilderness, school of wilderness, where God is trying to rid you of all your personal abilities, so that your gaze will shift from who you are and what you know to look upon him who was pierced for your sake, so that you will rest on him and allow him carry you through life. You know, if you see a man that successfully passed through the wilderness experience, there is no way he will not attain brokenness. Let me show you something. Songs of Solomon, chapter 6 or chapter 3 verse 6. The Bible says, who is this that cometh out of the wilderness like pillars of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, and all powder of the merchant. He said, who is this coming out of the wilderness? A man that has been to the wilderness, who has gone through the dealing processes of the spirit. There is a smell that he carries. There is an aroma that he carries. There is a force that he carries. The Bible call it the pillars of smoke. Those things that you went through in the face of obvious contradiction and the possibility of compromise, you stood your ground. They came to you. If you can just add 1 0 to this budget, you will be a millionaire. But you say, for the sake of Jesus, I will not. You think the immortals don't see that? They see it. You are tempted left and right. You have the capacity to compromise and no one will know. But for the sake of the commitment you have for him, you stand your ground. When the time for you to come out is accomplished, this is your description. You say, who is this? The people that knew you before you began those experiences, when they see you, they can't tell, because they will see a different you. Whereas you used to be a very loud person. Anywhere you are the runner of the show. You call the shot and everybody follows suit. But when the Holy Spirit is done with you, you don't speak until he says speak. You don't act until he say act. You don't go where he has not permitted you to go. You say, who is this? They won't recognize you. When you allow yourself to go through the dealing of the spirit, when you are coming out, your circumstances will not recognize you. Whereas they thought they came to frustrate your life, but they don't know that it was that fuel that took you through the school of the spirit. And now you are coming out. When your circumstances look at you, you say, who is this that is coming out of the wilderness with pillar like smoke, perfumed with mire? Mire here talks about bitterness. Bitterness, the bitter, ugly experience you went through for the sake of the name of the Lord. Even in the face of obvious contradiction, you have power to change your confession. You stood your ground. All those experiences, they follow you as odors. You see, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense. Then he said, with all powder of the merchant. When you come out, you bear the name of him that you are submitted to. The badge of Jesus will be on you. Anywhere you appear, Jesus will appear. The reason is because you are his and he is yours. The powder of the merchant is the oil of the owner. So he will decorate you with an ability. When you speak, it will be like him speaking. When John the Baptist appeared from the wilderness, when he lifted up his voice to cry, the whole city went from the city to be with him in the wilderness. Why? Because he has become one with him that he represents. He said, who is this coming out of the wilderness? When we look upon you, there's nothing about you that we should desire. When men see you, there is nothing physically that should attract men to you, but there is an invincible garment that you wear in the spirit. It attracts all things. It is called the glory. That is the emblem of him who have gone through the wilderness. Is there anyone here who is powerless? It's not because God is favorable toward us and despises you. We are all separated by the things we are willing to go through for the name of the Lord, for the sake of the Lord.